Part 39. Oreki Houtarou's Strength First Classroom. Author, Yu Yet. Chapter 381. Even if the girls can't get the first place in other classes won't get that high a score. Because class A is not cooperative. That's why there are quarrels. But there are costs to this seemingly excessive grouping. That is, a small senior with a purple bun from Class A of the 3rd grade was assigned to a group of seniors from Class B of the 3rd grade. This is Akane Tachibana, a 3rd-year student in Class A, who often follows Manabu Horikita as his right-hand man. Result. Now it seems that 3rd-year Akane Tachibana is not as strong as the student council president of Horikita Academy. In order to complete a solid plan, we have to pay the price for ourselves. Although Ichinose is an archangel, he is not an idiot. Since the seniors in Class A of the 3rd grade could not show a strong state, he naturally arranged for the seed group of his class to find Asahina's group to form a team. In this way, the grouping is finally completed. The boys' grouping has ended. When Sakayanaga's 24th group was determined, Kamuro Maesumi was arranged to go to the stadium to have a look. But the news I came back to report was that there were no boys in the gym. Naturally, I couldn't contact Oreki-san. It's okay, Sakayanagi Yuzu said. It would be better if Oreki-san is not here for this exam. Oh. So what do you want to do in this forest exam? Or want to ask something? And then, we have to avoid Oreki Houtarou. Kamuro-san immediately caught Sakayanaga's action trend. Kamuro-kun. While Kamuro Maesumi was thinking, Sakayanagi Yuzu's voice sounded. You are my dog now, right? The voice was a little sweet and cloying. But Kamuro immediately understood that this was Sakayanagi asking her to shut up, especially not to reveal it to Oreki-san. What a disgusting title, Kamuro suddenly said. But there's more than just one dog at the scene. This refers to the silver-haired girl from Class C who is standing obediently in her group. Because she was required to wear sportswear, she couldn't wear gray stockings today. Realizing that the eavesdropping was discovered, Hiyori-san quickly showed a cute expression. I won't say anything either. But she was curious. So what does Sakayanagi-san want to explore? In fact, she probably knew this. Because Oreki-san was clearly asking her if she had ever had an erotic dream some time ago. But now that he comes into contact with Oreki-san, he seems to have jumped out of this trouble. In other words, someone cured Oreki-san's erotic dream, right? In other words, what I want to find out is, whether Oreki-san is still innocent. Akyu and Kushida-san, who was assigned to Class D in Team 22, sneezed. Does Platikadan-chan have a cold? Her best friend Wang Miu asked quickly. Kushida. Probably not. I take good care of my body very much. In fact, she also heard the conversation between Sakayanagi-san and the others. And Kazakayanaga deliberately wanted to drive away Oreki Houtarou, which meant that he wanted to ask about Oreki Houtarou. But it's none of her business. Chapter 153 Naun's move. No, his secret move is probably on the girl's side. Oreki-san was assigned to the 3rd group. But just like when he brought the leaders of 6 boys groups to the 2nd and 3rd graders, he did not serve as the leader of the group. Generally speaking, when you are in charge, you need to take care of more things, and it is convenient that the rewards you and your classmates in the group get are doubled. But Oreki's bottom line is that the seed group in his class can get first place. And he was not in that seed group, so the person in charge was not appropriate. But before returning to the group, Oreki-san knew that the leader of the seed group, Katsuragi-san, was still following him. The group that chooses Horikita is guaranteed to get first place. Oreki-san then turned around and said. Nagamo challenged Horikita Manabu, and if he tried to do anything, Horikita Manabu would be the first to let him go. Nagaun himself knows it very well. So there is no need to worry about the fairness of the exam. At the same time, you have been in the student union for a long time, so you probably understand the excellence of President Horikita. So why don't you worry about teaming up with President Horikita, Oreki-san said. President Horikita is indeed excellent. Katsuragi also discovered when he was in the student council. The biggest reason why class A of the 3rd grade can maintain such an advantage is the existence of Horikita Academy. Being in the same big group as the student council president is really reassuring. But, although it's not nice for me to mention this, President Horikita's other classmates may not be that outstanding, Katsuragi-san added. And this is not nonsense. The main manifestation is, there are very few third-year students in Horikita Academy's student union. The 2 people who work as miscellaneous workers are also from Class B and Class C of 3rd grade. And this is because of Chairman Horikita's strict assessment. But in the student union, he and Secretary Jujian were the only ones from Class A of the 3rd grade. Although other outstanding third-year students are included in the student union. But this means that he cannot get more capable classmates from his class. This kind of Horikita Gakushu is indeed very reliable. But his companions. In this case, arrangements have been made, Oreki-san said. Don't forget why, except for the 12 boys in our Class A, all of them participated in other groups. The purpose is to have students from our class in each group, and then when necessary, we can directly abandon the exam. From this point of view, we can guarantee that the first group you are in is definitely the best among our first-year boys, Oreki said. Yes. Give up the exam. Once the test is abandoned, the score of this group will be lowered. This will not happen to Katsuragi's seed group. Naturally, I picked up the high score for nothing. From this perspective, it is indeed quite stable. So after fooling Katsuragi, Oreki-san came to the dormitory room arranged by the school. Unlike at school, boys and girls have completely separate accommodation. Moreover, the first grade students were only assigned to the first and second floors. The third and fourth floors are rooms for second-year seniors, while the fifth and sixth floors are rooms for third-year seniors. But when Oreki-san arrived, the boys from Team 3 had already arrived. There are 11 boys in total in Group 3. Oreki Houtarou and Hashimoto Masayoshi from Class A, 1st grade. Tetsuya Hamaguchi, Takiya Fujiwara, Class B, 1st grade. Daiichi Ishizaki, Albert, and Sho Ryuan from Class C, 1st grade. Rokusuke Kojinji, Terahiko Yukimura, Haruki Yamauchi, and Kiyotaka Ayanokaji from Class D, 1st grade. Oreki-san. It's an incredible list, and it's also a request from Hirata-san from Class D. If he doesn't join the seed group, then I hope he can join this group. And this undoubtedly threw all the big problem boys from Class D. But it doesn't matter. He's not the one in charge anyway. Oh, isn't this Oreki-san? What a coincidence. Takaharaji, who arrived at the dormitory early and unceremoniously occupied the upper bunk seat, said hello to Takaharaji, who looked at his face in a small mirror. Oreki-san. And the tall boy with blonde hair, who was sitting on the upper bunk in a good position like Takaharaji, jumped down. This is Masayoshi Hashimoto of Class A. He took the initiative to give up his position. As a student in Class A, Hashimoto-san knows how to survive. Not to mention, the current position of Class A is very stable. What he wants is to graduate as a member of Class A. As long as Class A doesn't fall out, then naturally, he will work hard for Class A. That's great. There are still people occupying seats. Yamauchi, who was sitting on the lower bunk, said. Apparently, before Oreki arrived, he had gone through a short period of occupation. Because it is a collective life, although there are 2 level beds, the location is also different. For example, students in the lower bunk have to endure the behavior of students in the upper bunk bed. However, Oreki-san ignored him and instead focused on the 2 boys sitting quietly for a few seconds. One is Sho Ryuan with his hair parted in the middle. This was Oreki-san's first meeting with the tyrant of Class C after being on the rooftop. But Ryuan was reading quietly. I was reading a book called The Kite Runner, and Oreki-san remembered that the theme of this book was quite subtle. It tells the story of a rich boy and his servant, about the betrayal and redemption of human nature. Ishizaki seemed to be still trying to talk to Ryuan, but Ryuan didn't respond at all, so Ishizaki could only stand aside in a daze. The other person was a handsome young man who looked harmless and had no expression on his face. Oreki Houtarou's Strength First Classroom. Author, Yu Yet. Chapter 382. And this boy is Ayanokaji Kiyotaka from Class D, 1st grade. At the same time, he is also the son of Mr. Ayanokaji. For Oreki-san, these are not the focus. The focus is the information given by Daiki knows in the precognitive dream that Ayanokaji Kiyotaka will reach the position of Prime Minister in the future. Then a proposal for a polygamy bill was made. It caused quite a stir. Admittedly, Oreki-san has no objection to this proposal. Rather say, this proposal can bring back his evaluation. Make him look less of a scumbag. It allows him to make a commitment and social status to the girl he likes. Is a good thing. But Oreki didn't think Ayanokaji Kiyotaka would be full enough to make such a suggestion. So do you want to intervene in Ayanokaji now? Ayanokaji is still far from being a prime minister now, but in the same school, early intervention may have good results. Only, according to the information provided by Kosake Anagi, people who come from special institutions will not be swayed so easily. So it's useless for you to ask the other party for help, and you have to go through all the trouble. So just let it go? Neither. Because Ayanokaji Kiyotaka is in danger of being forced to drop out of school by his father, Mr. Ayanokaji. If a person cannot stay any longer and must ask for help from others, then it is enough to intervene. At this time, you are not asking him, but the other party is asking you. This is the most energy-efficient solution, so to speak. New principal, please work harder. He was obviously in the dormitory, but Oreki-san was already cheering for another person. And at this moment, Nurture High School Council. Aikyu. One of the school's top officials, the newly appointed acting principal Mr. Tsukijo, has been officially confirmed as a regular after receiving the votes at the council meeting after 2 months of evaluation. It seems that I haven't done a good job of keeping warm these days. I'm a little embarrassed, Yu Cheng said after sneezing. But I will work hard to dedicate everything I have to the cause of cultivating talents. Mr. Yu Cheng expressed his loyalty. The council members quickly dispersed. However, Chairman Sakayanagi and Tsukijo stayed alone. The two had met in the White Room in the past, and Chairman Itayanagi had worked with Tsukiro when he was still Mr. Ayanokaji's secretary. So they are considered acquaintances. I think you know why I came here. The new principal Yu Cheng took the initiative. I understand, the chairman said. He is probably a little dissatisfied with me. The situation is indeed serious, Yu Cheng nodded. If I couldn't find your flaws, then I would not be the principal but the chairman now, Yu Cheng said. He entered the training high school on behalf of Mr. Ayanokaji, and he had only one purpose. Ayanokaji Kiyotaka dropped out of school. At first, Chairman Sakayanagi refused Mr. Ayanokaji's request for Ayanokaji Kiyotaka to drop out of school, which made Mr. Ayanokaji very unhappy. But Ayanokaji Kiyotaka still had to take it back. So Mr. Ayanokaji also made arrangements. But it's a pity. I couldn't find any flaws in Chairman Sakayanagi, so I had to start with the principal, who had a much lower position. And this is how the principal resigned, and then Yu Cheng became the acting principal, and then officially became a full-time principal after passing the assessment. Haha, Chairman Sakayanagi smiled. And Yu Cheng also kept smiling. It's easy to show off your cards directly. I need some permissions, he said. I will give you the questions for the next first year special exam. And the price will be paid. Does that mean Yu Cheng is here to make a deal? Indeed. Adults don't talk about relationships, they only talk about transactions. And the forest exam is here. The next morning, 6 o'clock. Special music came from outside the dormitory, similar to an alarm clock. It should be a reminder to the students that they need to get up and go to class. Yukamura-san from Class D, the group leader who stayed with the faculty yesterday, is back. He brought back a course schedule. Then there are handouts for the corresponding courses. The course schedule is very compact. After getting up, you complete your morning lessons, then meditate in the dojo, do homework, cleaning, etc., have breakfast, and learn various knowledge in the classroom. Then there's lunch, the afternoon's project, an endurance run, and then meditation again. After dinner and bath, go to bed. Very different from my life so far. More rules. By the way, Saturday is different from the usual day off. I only have classes in the morning. The only holiday seems to be Sunday. The course lasts for 7 days, and then on Thursday, the 8th day, all grades will be tested and scored at the same time. The assessment items will be drawn from the courses studied. This means that you need to improvise during special exams. Because maybe items like meditation will be included in the exam. Each gesture or movement may then be reflected on the exam. However, Oreki-san also noticed that there were words like speech and production in the subject. Then there are things like endurance long-distance running, which is also a direct training of 20 kilometers, and it needs to be scheduled every 2 days. Overall, it hasn't been a good week. And that's just when the curriculum is heavy. Run, I can't run anymore. After all, what kind of course is this? Does the school want to tire us out? Oreki-san's group had to do an endurance long-distance running course that morning. 20 kilometers round trip. Then less than 1 kilometer away, someone started shouting. This is Haruki Yamauchi-san. My foot is twisted. And this is the person in charge, Yukimura Terahiko, who is in completely bad physical condition. As for Ayanokaji-san, he helped Yukimura move forward. And Rokusuke Takaharaji, another student from Class D in the group, took off straight away from the beginning. Everyone knows he's fast. But very quickly. Takaharaji-san is missing. It seems that I saw a wild boar on the road, so I went straight to chase it. Hashimoto-san, who has good footwork, deterred back from the front, came to Oreki-san, who was moving at a steady speed, and talked to him. Kojinji Rokusuke deviated directly from the course. For a casual man like him, how could a boring long-distance run be as enjoyable as defeating a wild boar? Albert and Ishizaki from Class C where Ryuan is located are relatively stable and participated in the whole process. But then it comes time to clean up. I won't do it. Why do you have to sweep so much ground? We are here to go to school, not to work. When have the delinquents of Class C been so well behaved? So I immediately got angry. Just throw the broom aside. Ishizaki-san. As the person in charge, Yukimura can only chase Ishizaki. But some time passed, and only Yukimura came back lamely. It looks like this group will have a harder time getting along in the coming week. In this case, after finishing his share of the work, Oreki-san went to the cafeteria. The boys were immediately separated from the girls after getting off the bus, and the subsequent classes were also separated, but that doesn't mean there was no contact at all. For an hour during lunchtime every day, it is the only place where boys and girls meet. However, this is a place where all students from the school come. It is noisy and the eating time is not very long, so it is difficult to find people you know there. So if you want to find someone, you may have to sacrifice your own meal time. But when he came to the cafeteria door, Oreki saw a tall girl with long purple hair standing aside like a door god. When he arrived, she immediately walked over with her long legs. It seems that Sakayanagi-san has thought quite carefully. So, under the guidance of Kamuro-san, Oreki successfully arrived at Sakayanaga's seat. After arranging for Kamuro-san to go get lunch, the two exchanged the information at hand. The boys' team is as planned. I arranged for Katsuragi and the others to join the student council president Horikita's team, Oreki said. On the girls' side, I also arranged for the seed group of Class B to join the second-year senior Asahina's group, Itayanaga said. Isn't it okay with Akane Tachibana from Class A of the 3rd grade, Oreki asked. No, but Banliu gave an affirmative answer. The two of them got the cards for the first-year team on the bus. But there are requirements. It is necessary for Class A of the 1st grade to get the first place in the boys group in this exam. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Oreki Houtarou's Strength First Classroom. Author, Yu Yet. Chapter 383. Then let the girls in Class B of the 1st grade get the first place in the girls group in this exam. It's very difficult. But there are shortcuts. That is just to get together with outstanding and excellent seniors and seniors. So Oreki-san arranged for Katsuragi and the others to find Horikita Manabu. As for the girls, it is reasonable to say that the seniors from Class A of the 3rd grade are also reliable, but the feedback given by Sakayanagi was that they could only choose the seniors from Class A of the 2nd grade. It shows that the seniors in Class A of the 3rd grade are not that awesome. Then Nagamo decided to compete with Horikita Manabu based on the average score of the group in this forest test. Oreki-san continued to share information. That's it. Then the composition of the 24th team I am currently in can come in handy, Sakayanagi Yuzu said. In the 24th group of girls where Itaiji is located, there are only 10 students from Class A and Hanami Ichino's from Class B. Ichino-san is very good at handling things. The 24th group is all students from Class A, so the operation is also very convenient. After all, which girl would be so brave as to oppose Sakayanagi Yuzu? Unexpectedly, Kamuro-san, who was pulled into the girls' seed group, was already assigned to a different group from Itanyu, but he still hadn't forgotten who his master was. Even though get out of class ended early, he still came obediently to take his seat and get lunch. Only Banliu would say something like this. That is to say, you have already guessed Nagamo's methods, Oreki said. Yes, Sakayanagi said. Because that person is quite boring. Because Nagamo and Horikita Manabu provocatively made a fighting agreement, so they would not directly cheat with Horikita Manabu in this regard. However, the score of this test can be high or low. Nagamo is no longer a member of the student council, and he is at risk in controlling the 2nd grade. Then Horikita Gakuin is about to retire, and the position of student council president is vacant. Horikita Manabu would definitely not choose him. So Naun has a need to take action. And made an agreement with Horikita Manabu to fight openly and honestly. Then he probably wants to play tricks on the girls. Therefore, Horikita Manabu is Horikita Suzun's older brother. Don't think people are that dark. Both of them are honest people. Someone is looking for you, Kamuro-san suddenly said to Oreki after returning from lunch. Unless you make an appointment in advance where to meet here, you can only give up your meal time and come find someone. Result: someone really sacrificed his meal time to come to him. Oreki-san didn't pause and just followed that person. The divine room. So, are you in a bad mood? Kamuro asked Sakayanagi. After Oreki left, Sakayanaga's expression changed to, I'm not that jealous, Yuzu said. And Horikita-san came to him probably because of his brother. In other words, I was looking for Oreki-san for this part of the matter. Then it is not related to love affairs. Then it doesn't matter. It seems that Banliu-san is quite tolerant, What the hell? Because if she was really tolerant, she wouldn't give up sleeping during the holidays. He was complaining in his heart, but Kamuro-san would not say it stupidly. Oreki-san and Horikita-Susan arrived outside the cafeteria. Chapter 154. In the girls' camp, bathing is more fun. Oreki-san and Horikita-Susan walked outside together. Oreki-san walked in front, followed by Susan. The two of them were on the playground, and Horikita-Susan pursed her lips slightly, as if she wanted to say something, but couldn't say it immediately. If what you want to ask is about your brother, then don't worry, Oreki-san said. Your brother became a subordinate. Is that so? Sister Horikita immediately raised her head. It's easy to guess what Horikita-san is thinking. She gets 50,000 yuan in living expenses from her brother every month. Although she feels that she no longer needs it, it is a fact that her brother has been supporting her. And in the incident where she was rumored, she may have caused trouble to the other party. Her brother was about to graduate, and on the bus, Oreki-san pulled her into a group chat with representatives of each first-year class. And on the first-year side, Oreki-san takes the lead. The first-grade group will be placed into the group with the most points. So if Oreki-san's plan is followed and his seed team of Class A wins first place, it will receive a class evaluation score of 324 points. And men and women are separated. So girls can control the score of 324 if they want. Then combined with the men and women, the scores in this exam were quite high. From the bulletin board on the first floor of the third grade, you can see the gap in the current class evaluation scores of the third grade. Class A of the third grade scored 2,401 points. Grade 3 Class B 1908 points. Class C, Grade 3, 233 points. Grade 3 Class D 150 points. Among them, the difference between Class A and Class B in the third grade is only close to 500 points. So, such a high score can shake the current scores of the third grade. But Horikita's group consists of 13 students from Class A of the third grade, 1 student from Class C of the third grade, and 1 student from Class D of the third grade. A team of 15 people was formed. There is a gap between Oreki-san and his seed team, and they cannot get the maximum reward. This situation was probably caused by the uncooperative boys in Class B of the third grade. Refuses to join Horikita Manabu's group. Probably Class B also felt that Horikita Manabu's team had a high probability of winning first place, so they deliberately did not participate to lower Horikita Manabu's score. But for the third grade Class A, which already has an advantage, although their score will be lowered and they will not be able to cooperate like the first grade, they can still maintain their advantage. Because they couldn't get high marks, then grade 3 Class B couldn't get them either. So your brother took a prudent approach this time, Oreki-san said. And his boys' team will definitely get first place. If it's my brother, then there's nothing to worry about, Horikita-Susan said. It seemed like he was relieved. But this was just something Oreki-san used to comfort her. Because this time the exams are separated for men and women, and Horikita Academy has already been passive on the boys' side, so the girls' side will be even worse. So if there is no intervention, Class A of the third grade will face disaster. Then I'm afraid the special exams in the next few months will be a torment. But main mission: earn 100 million in 300 days. Task time limit, 237 days. Task requirement, in 300 days, extract 50 million from senior students and 50 million from freshmen. Task reward, soul out of body. Mission punishment, Kusita will be rubbed by Ichika Amasawa. Task progress, 30% add 50%. Oreki-san called up the system mission. Although a little sorry. However, Horikita-san, this time, he has his own ideas. He can take this opportunity to complete the task of squeezing points from the senior class. And it's not too much. After all, 50 million points is very cheap compared to a bright future. So Oreki-san shook hands with Horikita Suzune, comforted her, and sent her back to the cafeteria. Generally speaking, it's probably too late, Horikita Suzune said. This cafeteria is where the boys and girls in Forest School get the opportunity to meet. The lunch break in the cafeteria is not long, only 1 hour. So she spent a good part of her time looking for him. Then it will be too late to queue up to buy food later. That's not necessarily the case, Oreki-san said. Don't forget, you also have friends. Ringtone. Friends. With that in mind, Oreki-san asked her to take him to where she started. Then, I found a little angel with beautiful short golden hair sitting there. Kushida-san. Horikita-san, you're back. I left some bread for you. Kushida Kikyo was still there. As a friend, he helped Horikita Suzune. And Suzune also understood what Oreki-san just said. Yes. Oreki Houtarou's Strength First Classroom. Author, Yu Yet. Chapter 384. Although Kushida is annoying, it is undeniable that her little angel side can sometimes help a lot. It's a pity that Kushida doesn't like her, and she doesn't like Kushida either. But Kushida-san just sat and did what he felt was necessary. Then he looked at Oreki-san curiously. The slender eyelashes seemed to blink, showing a cute expression. Your reflection is all in my eyes. Kushida-san seemed a little curious. But this offensive is useless. Oreki-san is already immune. Oreki-san knew that Kushida seemed to want to find out whether Horikita Suzune had another money-making mission when she came to him alone. But it's a pity that Oreki-san won't be taking them on missions for the time being. After all, none of their teams can be used in this exam. The lunch break passed quickly, and the students were immediately arranged to go to the old classroom for classes. It's a theoretical class. Because handouts were given, it was not that painful. However, after the electronic devices are completely put away, you will find that it is much more difficult to just attend class. Then, follow the course schedule. The next day passed. Although there was an afternoon buffer, the relationship between the members of Team 3, where Oreki-san was a member, was not at peace and continued in a bad state. As the leader of the team, Terahiko Yukimura cannot take the initiative. Rather, because he sprained his foot while running, he tried to work hard, but it was useless. Presumably the situation will be even worse tomorrow. So the atmosphere in the dormitory is actually quite bad. In addition, everyone is not the type who likes to brag and spank. So the atmosphere was quite dull. Certainly. There are exceptions. There is a man who wants to talk. Come to think of it, I've been coming to this school for so long. Don't you think there are many pretty girls in our school? So, is there anyone you're dating? Haruki Yamauchi said. How did it feel for the first time? Will it be painful? Some people say it hurts on boys' sides too. The one spoken in the mountain is Huangqiang. In other words, it is a topic that boys will be interested in. But what kind of boy is there? There are 11 boys in total in Group 3. Oreki Houtaru and Hashimoto Masayoshi from Class A, 1st grade. Tetsuya Hamaguchi, Takia Fujiwara, Class B, 1st grade. Daiichi Ishizaki, Albert, and Sho Ryuan from Class C, 1st grade. Rokusuke Kojinji, Terahiko Yukimura, Haruki Yamauchi, and Kiyotaka Ayanokaji from Class D, 1st grade. Oreki-san was quiet, and Hashimoto-san took the lead. If it was normal time, he would collect information, but the people on the scene might as well have collected all the information. So Hashimoto didn't want to waste time talking to him. The students in Class B are known for their gentle attitudes and will not be interested in such topics. As for Class C, Ryuan has become autistic, and Ishizaki and the others who are paying attention to him have no interest in saying these things. Then Class D. Yukimura is troubled by his injuries and his inability to be a responsible person. Especially my feet still hurt a little, and I'm worried about whether I can keep up with tomorrow's class. Ayanokaji Kiyotaka, whose presence has been very low since entering school, continues to remain quiet. As for Jiyuan Temple, he was already fast asleep. So Yamauchi spoke, but no one responded. But after realizing that no one was paying attention, Yamauchi had no choice but to shut up. Everyone lies in bed 1 hour before lights out at 2200 hours. And Oreki-san was lost in thought. After appeasing Horikita's sister, his system task has not yet been completed. It's actually quite easy to complete. He stated his powerful relationship to Horikita Manabu, and then found the students in class of the 3rd grade and asked them to spend a huge sum of money for their future. But any proactive attack is not as good as providing help in times of need, or in other words, having others beg you for help. Otherwise his actions would be extortion. Oreki-san is also shameless. So Horikita Nii, the monitor of class of the 3rd grade, had to take the initiative to find him about this matter. But how to do it? Is there anyone who can help me? Thinking this, Oreki-san found that the door was pushed open. Hey, you guys went to bed really early. 4 seniors were there. 1st graders. The blonde-haired Nagayunya took the lead, and then there were 2 third-year seniors. Since you haven't slept yet, let's have some fun, Nanyun said. I brought a ghost card. Oh. We were just talking about who would help, but now someone is here, isn't it? Oreki-san jumped down from the upper bunk. Since Nagamo-senpai's kindness is difficult to refuse, it is appropriate for us to accept it, Oreki-san said. Then he fell in front of Nanyunya. Nanyun. I always felt that Oreki Houtarou was a little too enthusiastic. And he looked at Oreki Houtarou's face. I always felt that this expression was very similar to when Sakayanagi Yuzu asked him for money. But no, because he won't do anything to boys. Then it'll be fine. Thinking this way, Nanyun calmed down a little more. Nanyun brought the ghost card. Not yet opened. Not just him, but also the 2 seniors in the 3rd grade. So this is where the 2nd and 3rd grade boys come over. For 1st graders, seniors are seniors. But some people are not willing to play cards at this point. But which of you is in charge? Then it's up to the person in charge to represent the group. By the way, except for the first day of forest school, students prepare breakfast by themselves in the mornings after that. So the breakfast you had this morning was made by the 3rd-year seniors. The next step is for you to make breakfast. Of course, if you can beat us at cards, then it's okay for us to continue to contract. I won't bully you either. Win 3 out of 5 games. Nagamo Masaru directly suppressed poor Yukimura-san. Yukimura-san, whose full name is Yukimura Terahiko, is the top student in Class D of the 1st grade, but his physical fitness is extremely poor. However, he is one of the few people who has his own ideas and hopes to follow Class D and work towards Class A. Now, although the chips proposed by Nanyun are not very high, but he didn't want to get into trouble, and at the same time, if he could make breakfast less often, he might be able to have more say. Otherwise, he could almost imagine that even if it was their group's turn, it would be him and 1 or 2 other group members who would finish it in the end. After all, most of the members are disobedient. So I had to bite the bullet and play. If that's the case, then I'll come too. And at Oreki-san's signal, Hashimoto also came on stage. Best of 5. The cards are unopened. At the same time, the method is to draw the turtle, which is also the ghost card. This is a game that tests whether a person can act. Because you can tell whether the card in the opponent's hand is a ghost card from the expression on the opponent's face. Then, Yukimura, who had little resistance, was defeated. The ghost card fell into Yukimura's hand in the first round, and it ended like this. And the second game began. Yukimura is still there, but this time the ghost card is in Hashimoto's hand. 10 minutes later. Hey. Oreki Houtarou's Strength First Classroom. Author, Yet. Chapter 385. Seeing that Hashimoto also failed, Ishizaki from Class C couldn't stand it. Because he kept losing, then they would have to contract for breakfast. He refused to do this. That's right, you can't bully the first grade all the time. Sometimes you should let the first grade win, Nagayunya said. Now it's a boy from his class and a third-year senior who comes on stage. And after Ishizaki came on the stage. 1. Ishizaki seemed to be in a good mood. Oh who? And Gao Yuanji, who was sleeping soundly on the upper bunk, sat down. Kojinji Temple, right. And Nanyun also knew that this man who shines so brightly at the sports festival had a 25-meter advantage over the others. What a monster! At the same time, he is also the son of a rich family. Speaking of which, you are collecting points from seniors, Nagayunya said. That's the intention, Gao Yuanji said. But do you want to stop it? He. Of course it's nothing. Nanyun has no interest in people like this who are the rich second generation outside. Because these people have greater advantages than going to this school, they should be similar to the type who were born in Rome. Rather, I think these people are going too far. They were born with a better future, but they come to this kind of school to steal someone else's position. Then you. And Nanyun seemed to be starting to pay attention to Ryuan. Ryuan is holding a copy of The Kite Chaser and reading it. He probably heard Naeun's voice, but he just passed by holding the book. Nanyun. Although there was a bump in the nose, the game of ghost cards is still going on. It's already the fourth round. It seems that you are not very good at first grade, Nagayunya said. Because the ghost card is in Ishizaki's hand. Ishizaki is not very good at hiding his expression. But Albert also participated. It's just that Albert is wearing sunglasses, which means he has no expression at all. But just now his trick was discovered by a third-year senior. And Oreki-san was looking at this. Nagayun-senpai is not going to challenge us from dormitory to dormitory. Yes, Nanyunya said. After all, the night time is very long, and you can't bring any electronic devices with you. It's quite boring. So, why don't you end up, Nanyun said. Now you first graders have lost twice. It doesn't matter, I won't be the one cooking anyway, Oreki-san said. That's right, Takaharaji-kun. Jyuan Temple. Since you've asked me to do it, there's nothing you can do about it. Gao Yuanji then jumped down from the upper bunk. Then I, Kojinji, will be the savior. As Takaharaji, he is very smart. Nagamo just deliberately pointed out that the first grade should win after Hashimoto also lost, and then the first grade really won. That is to say, the cards that were taken out at the beginning were brand new, which was just a deception to make people think that the cards were safe. Therefore, Nagamo and the others were actually cheating. The back of the ghost card is slightly different from other cards. To grasp this is to grasp success. He. Nanyun seemed to smile. Then the game of drawing ghost cards ended with Takaharaji winning. As for Oreki-san and his third team, they don't need to take breakfast shifts. Nanyun will continue to play the game of taking turns making breakfast with other first-year groups. So, what are the second and third grade seniors doing here? After Nagamo left, Hashimoto-san said. Because I was harassed from dormitory to dormitory. Although it is to kill time, it is not as good as playing in a dormitory for a long time. So Hashimoto can't understand it? But Hashimoto can't understand it, that's right. Oreki-san feels that if Nagamo continues to challenge dormitory to dormitory in such a high-profile manner, If the news spreads to the third graders, Horikita and I will contact him soon. So, Nagamo really played a game of ghost cards for 2 consecutive nights. However, during the day, Oreki-san and his group just let themselves go. So Yukimura, as the person in charge, was very distressed. However, he probably got used to it a little bit, so after dinner in the afternoon, Oreki-san was going to take a shower. Then I found Kanzaki-san from Class B of the first grade standing outside. It was very noisy inside, with exclamations coming from time to time. It seemed like we were talking openly in the shower, and then we looked at each other. Kanzaki-san said. Profound. Oreki-san understood. Boys are indeed children-like creatures. If boys do this, will girls do the same? Probably not. Because if you compare breast size, many people will feel sad. In the girls' bathhouse. The current situation is still bath time for first graders. Today was really hard, Itchy Nose said. Yes, so it's great to take a bath and relax. It's just that we can't stay here forever. After 8 o'clock it's bath time for senior students, a classmate said. Although Itchy Nose took the initiative to go to the 10-person group of Itaijai in Class A, she did not need to follow the group when taking a shower. Here she could meet other classmates that she could not see when participating in the course. Your name is, classmate Wangmiu, right? Students from other groups were also chatting. This is Hiri Shiina, who seems to be in charge of her group. This was a student that Itchy Nose had not paid serious attention to in the past. Because of Ryuan's existence, Ryuan seemed to have issued an order very early to prohibit them from contacting students from other classes. Regarding this point, I took the test on Kojima, and then Ryuan-san gave up his identity as the leader and fell apart. Yes, this is Wang Miu from Class D. She seems to be from China, but she is quite cute. Itchy Nose felt that her English scores were quite good, and she seemed to get perfect scores every time, which was amazing. Like this, in this test grouping, students in different classes suddenly became familiar with each other. Originally, I had a sense of estrangement and distance from others, which was difficult to overcome. And for her, this kind of thing that was originally difficult to overcome had already been overcome by the time she realized it. Well, Ichino-san, have you ever had a boyfriend? At this moment, a girl from class A asked her this question. Boom. No. I'm ashamed to say that I have no experience in love. That's it, you obviously feel very popular. Are you the kind of person with high ideals? The student from class A continued. I don't think that's the case, but I don't know. So, do you have a boy you like now? Being asked something like that suddenly can make people panic. Rumors say that I see you often alone with Oreki-san. Maisumi Kamuro, a girl from class A, said. And then also shaking hands every day. Cough 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 cough. Itchy Nose choked and coughed. Actually, Oreki-san and I have nothing to do with each other. She said, Oreki-san seems to have a better relationship with Horikita-san. Horikita-san. Horikita-san is sitting in the corner, with Kushida beside her. But the eyes of the students in class A just fell on her, and then they immediately looked away. Horikita Suzun has her own cold game skills. And Horikita Suzun has no interest in talking. It should be said that she is not only not interested in the topic of love, she even doesn't know how to do it. Otherwise, after being kissed so many times by Oreki-san, she should have discovered that she was actually in love with him. Apparently, Horikita-san hasn't grown up enough to know that maybe she should fall in love. However, I sighed a little. If this continues, I am afraid that I will have no choice but to marry Oreki-san. Speak of it. And Kamuro, a classmate from Class A, brought up a new topic. Have you seen that sexy picture on the forum that was posted 10 times and deleted 10 times? During the Itchy Nose rumor incident, the school forum was hacked. A large number of two-dimensional pictures have been uploaded. There are also contents that have to be blocked. For example, a boy uploaded a picture of himself. That. It's obviously an embarrassing picture, but the girls didn't seem to shy away from discussing it. Look, it's too big. A student from Class C said. This seemed to be a topic of interest to everyone, so student councils from other classes joined in. I always feel that it would be very troublesome to be in contact with a boy like that. Kushida started to talk. Yes, it's too big. It feels very scary, Wangmyo said from the front. I think your idea is probably wrong, Kamuro said. This kind of thing is definitely better than small. Is this really the case? Does Kamuro-san have any experience? You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Oreki Houtarou's Strength First Classroom. Author, Yet. Chapter 386. Kamuro-kun had been talking about this topic, but at this moment his face turned red. Speaking of which, do you have experience, Ichi-nose? You seem to be very popular. She quickly passed the blame to Ichi-nose Hanami. Is it true? The other girls suddenly became curious. Because Hanami Ichi-nose is the #1 beauty in the whole grade and has quite a lot of friends, no one can dislike her at all. So if there is such a thing as experience, then she who is so popular must. No, Ichi-nose quickly waved his hands to reject it. Really? I always feel like you're hiding something, Shiana said, but forget it, I'll let you go. This made Ichi-nose breathe a sigh of relief. So you really have experience, Shiana-san said again. I just lied to you. Shiana-san, how are you? Actually, I didn't. I think school is a place to study, Ichi-nose Hanami said. So I want to focus on studying. I see, it is indeed, Ichi-nose-san. So the girls started talking about other topics. What are they doing? Horikita Susan finally spoke. She seemed to feel strange about the current atmosphere. It's okay if you don't know about this kind of thing, Horikita-san, Kushida said. Horikita felt that Kushida was as excessive as usual. It's just, who is the person who posted the sexy picture? I don't know if he is a senior or a first-year student. It can't be Albert from Class C. No, that Shito's skin is much whiter. So it's not Albert. Could it be that he's Katsuragi from Class A? Katsuragi-san looks very strong. The girls are still discussing. That's probably Oreki-san, a voice suddenly said. Sato Kurosawa looked at Sato Maya strangely. Why do you know? For it. Why would she know? I'm just guessing, Sato-san quickly responded, because Oreki-san runs so fast, and doesn't he have the feeling that a person cannot be judged by his appearance? Okay, this one is an info. And it is said that she confessed her love to Oreki-san, but was rejected. Megami, on the other hand, quietly looked at Sato-san. Because in the first 2 months, I had no choice but to show my true ability in the written examination process. She made an appointment with Oreki-san to study together, but she couldn't get the appointment every time. It seemed that he was also invited to study together. But students in Class A don't need to study hard. The girls in Class B also held study meetings themselves. So it is difficult to study with people from other classes. And Oreki-san doesn't know the girls from Class C very well either. So it's hard not to wonder if the girl he asked to study is Sato-san. As for Sato-san's study, Megami thinks it's time to fight. As for Houtarou, Kurosawa has discovered that Houtarou is someone who is difficult for girls to refuse as long as he takes the initiative. In other words, it's actually quite easy to get started with. So now I can't believe Sato-kun at all. Italianagi, Kamuro-san turned to a pretty and fair-skinned girl who was staying quietly in the corner. The puppy from class A just now has returned to its owner. Then the collected information was reported. That means Ichino-san is safe. And Horikita Suzun doesn't seem to understand at all. Ignore it for now, Kushida-san. Looking at it this way, my Oreki-san is still pure and pure as expected, Sakayanagi said. His first kiss is gone, so I want his first night. This sounds strange. Although the words are very offensive, they still feel like the barking of a defeated dog. But now that she is just a puppy, the owner can just give commands and listen. Also, you have to continue that task after returning to school, Sakayanagi ordered. Kamuro-san seemed to protest for a moment. Because during the vacation, after reporting to Itayanaga that Oreki-san was dating Horikita Suzun, Sakayanagi asked her to do something quite shameful. There are only 2 shops in the shopping street selling family planning supplies. And she asked her to do it every time. Then the clerk looked at her strangely every time. It was as if he was looking at some very slutty girl. Although she deliberately covered her face with a mask, it still made her blush every time. As I said, this guy Banliu obviously doesn't use it himself, but he doesn't let others use it either. They also euphemistically call the school a place for studying, hoping to maintain a clean atmosphere. So, being Sakayanaga's dog is not easy. Chapter 155, The Unified Team, The Shaken Horikita Manabu. Oreki's loyal dog. The 4th day. It rained, so the 20-kilometer endurance run once every 2 days was temporarily suspended and changed to a meditation course. However, the teacher teaching today gave a useful message. The assessment project for the whole grade on Thursday, their last day, came out. The assessment is divided into 4 parts. Meditation, speech, 20-kilometer relay race and written test part. What needs attention is the 20-kilometer relay race. The requirement is that everyone must run at least 1.2 kilometers, and then the remaining part is distributed freely. As for Oreki-san's group of sports geeks, besides him, there is also the monster Kojinji. And whether it's Ishizaki or Ryuan, Albert is good. It can be said that this project can really make people shine. It's just that Oreki-san is silent now, so Yukimura can't say much. Because his physical condition was very poor and his legs were not fully healed today, he was relieved that today's endurance run was cancelled. But the relationship between the members of the group is still not good. The students in Class C still looked after themselves, and Takaharaji didn't listen to orders at all. The most important thing was that Yukimura felt that he was lagging behind and at the bottom. And Oreki also noticed that for 2 consecutive nights, Yukimura Terahiko seemed to often look at him and hesitate to speak. Probably he wanted him to help coordinate the situation in the group, but this would make Yukimura himself admit his incompetence, and his self-esteem was very strong, so he could not speak. However, Oreki thought that it would be okay to deal with it in 2 days. What needs attention is Horikita Manabu. Because Nanyun also visited the house to draw ghost cards for 2 consecutive nights. With great fanfare. On the first day, the breakfast rotation could be used as a bet, but last night was just an ordinary game of cards to pass the time. Presumably Nagamo will come tonight too. Can Horikita Manabu continue to be so calm? Of course Horikita Manabu was not so calm. Oreki-san was lying on the bed at 1 o'clock that night, but his eyes were open. Because a small note was placed on his bed. There is only 1 line on it. At 1 o'clock tonight. There is no signature, but the handwriting is neat and neat. And Oreki-san has seen Horikita Suzun's handwriting many times, and her handwriting is serious and precise. The current handwriting is similar. It can be seen from the handwriting that the person who wrote it is a very serious person. So it's probably Horikita Manabu's handwriting. And now. About there. Because there is no electronic equipment, it is impossible to even know the specific time. However, at specific times, the school will use ringtones instead, such as the music to wake up every day, and then also play music reminders 1 hour before lights out. So it's a bit difficult to grasp the time at 1 o'clock. But light suddenly appeared in the gap at the door of the dormitory. Someone was probably using a flashlight, but it was not passing by chance, but flashing rhythmically. Oreki. During the exam in Kojima, my classmates read the Morse code book and then played related games. As a result, is Chairman Horikita doing this kind of thing now? However, there is no toilet in the dormitory, so it is normal to get up in the middle of the night and go out to use the toilet. The flash outside the dormitory door only lasted 4 times and then stopped. Oreki-san counted about 4 minutes and then started to get up lightly. But it was more lively tonight. Hashimoto-san on the lower bunk, and Ryuan next door to Hashimoto were all missing. They had left 15 minutes ago. It should be Hashimoto alone who wanted to meet with Ryuan privately. Oreki Houtarou's Strength First Classroom. Author, Yu Yet. Chapter 387. Oreki-san got out of bed and walked out of the dormitory. Arriving at the shoe cabinet in the classroom, I quickly caught Ryuan and Hashimoto. But is that why you came to me for this kind of thing? Long Yuan didn't seem to be very interested. I just want to earn more points. As you know, when we graduate, the school will use cash to recycle the points in our hands according to a certain percentage, Hashimoto said. The upperclassmen are not easy to deal with, and the students at the same level probably have no room to interfere, so what do you think of the next freshman? From this perspective, Hashimoto is still very pragmatic. He was initially assigned to Class A, and now Class A is still far ahead. As long as Oreki-san and Itaiji-san are there, the students in Class A will have a high probability of graduating from Class A as they wish. So, as a student of Class A, wouldn't it be a good thing to take this bus and make some money? So now Hashimoto-san is looking for Ryuan to cooperate in order to gain points. And the selection of targets for harvesting is also very straightforward, starting from the freshmen who have not yet entered school. In his opinion, the new students are all little sheep, ready for cutting their wool. But if that's what you think, then there's no point. Ryuan walked forward. I have given up on becoming the tyrant of Class C. And if you don't have the power of a class, it's impossible to control the lower grades. So if you want to make money from the new students, then just go to bed, Long Yuan said. Then he walked away as if he didn't have much interest. Don't say that. Hashimoto immediately chased after him. It seems that there is nothing interesting about these two people. Oreki-san, on the other hand, focused on waiting for Horikita Manabu to arrive. However, after waiting, not only Horikita Manabu, but also someone who shouldn't have appeared also appeared. It was a boy with short blonde hair. Nagamoya from Class A of the 2nd grade. So, why are you looking for me alone? Horikita said. The two of them stayed in the corridor. Horikita Manabu held a flashlight in his left hand, and the flashlight was turned off. It's nothing important. I just received news that the students from Class B of the 3rd grade have given some money to let Fujimaki go, Nagamo said. Fujimaki? Fujimaki was the one who was pushed out by Horikita Manabu during the sports festival and talked a lot of nonsense and then was unable to respond in time to Ryuan's sudden departure with the team. That was Horikita's classmate. So you want to tell me the news, Horikita Manabu said. This time, Fujimaki was also assigned to his own group by Horikita. If someone in the group lets it slip, then Horikita Manabu's desire to win first place will indeed be unstable. Yes, Nanyun said. After all, I am eager to have a fair and upright battle with my senior. Then don't worry, Horikita Manabu said. I trust my classmates. That's it? It would be great if that's the case, Nanyun said. At the same time, I need to mention that I also have a senior from Class B of the 3rd grade who came here specifically. But I refused, Nanyun said. Because I have already said that I will not interfere with the special examination of the 3rd grade. And the seniors of Class B of the 3rd grade will definitely not accept it. And that's my sincerity. Sincerity. He rejected Class B of the 3rd grade, and reminded Horikita that the members of his own group were bribed. Nanyun actually did this. I really want to have a real official showdown with Horikita Manabu. Nanyun was promoted from Class B, and was initially assigned to Class B by the school, but in the end he did better than the students in Class A at the beginning. So there's nothing to say about him wanting to get back the dignity he had at the beginning. Horikita Manabu could feel his desire to gain recognition. I heard that you have been walking past the lower grade dormitories for 3 consecutive nights recently, Horikita Manabu said. I just hope to get along with the students, Nanyun said elegantly. I hope so. Horikita Manabu didn't completely believe it. Naeun. But why did Horikita senpai ask me to point this out, Naeun said at this time. He went to study with Horikita during dinner in the afternoon. But Horikita Manabu asked him to meet again at this time. And then picked such a late time. Because I also made an appointment with another person, Horikita Manabu said. Another person? Then. Nanyun looked towards the end of the corridor, and sure enough he saw a boy with short black hair and green eyes walking towards him. Day. It's Houtarou Oreki. In other words, Horikita Manabu also learned bad things this time, and learned how to suppress Oreki Houtarou by moving out. As long as he does tricks, will Oreki Houtarou be arranged to confront him again? I'll say it again. My duel with the senior this time was fair and square, Nanyun said again. Then walked away. So Horikita Manabu said. What do you think of the ghost card over there at Nanyun? He will deal with your duel with dignity, Oreki-san said. Yeah, Horikita nodded. But that may not be the case for the girls' team, Oreki-san added. What's the meaning? Horikita learned to look over. It seems that Nagamo's statement just now, in which he reported that someone in Horikita's class was contacted by a 3rd-year Class B student, and took the initiative to say that he would no longer interfere in the 3rd-year showdown, had weight in Horikita's heart. Although Horikita Manabu doesn't agree with Nagamo Moss's philosophy, it is undeniable that Nagamo is indeed reliable in doing things. At the same time, I never broke my promise to him in the past. In other words, doesn't President Horikita Council approve of Nagamo? As long as there is enough temptation, no matter what the relationship is, you will betray it, Oreki-san said. The same goes for your trust in Chairman Horikita. Lunch break time the next day. Oreki arrived at the cafeteria. There was no purple-haired Maisumi Kamuro at the door today, because Oreki-san had no intention of meeting Sakayanagi today. Chairman Horikita fell into the same situation as Horikita-san in the past. Some trust others. Then you have to make some preparations to shake him. After all, it is an opportunity to directly extract 50 million points from the senior class. So prepare to find a useful tool to arrange it. So who can the tool maker choose? Actually quite a lot. Oreki-san came into contact with Ichino-san in Class B, but Ichino-san probably couldn't help him this time, and there was Hiri in Class C. And for Class D, those who spend money are Hospi-san, while those who don't spend money include Kushida and Horikita, and Eri can also provide information. But the most suitable one should be this one. Oreki-san hasn't had any contact with her in the past few days, but she has been eating at the same place for 4 consecutive days. This behavior almost shows that I am ready, you can come to me at any time. The meaning of the signal sent by the other party is very strong. So Oreki sat down behind her seat after waiting in line to get his own meal. When putting down the plate, Kuruzawa suddenly spoke to Shinohara-san, who had already finished his meal. Hopefully she can help get the free soup. There was a long line for free soup. And to do this kind of work, you have to queue for at least 10 minutes. It seems that he even did a good job of sending his friends away. So, how does it feel to be at forest school? Oreki-san sat at the table behind Kei. It's okay, Hui said. Although it's very hard, it's basically physical education. Aren't you going to have dinner with Sato-san now? Oreki-san knows that the relationship between the two is very good. The relationship with her has broken down recently, Hui said. Oh. Is the relationship between girls so complicated? It was clear that during the written test last month, Hui asked him to say that he hoped to improve his academic skills and then teach Sato-san. Sato-san's reason for asking him out was that he hoped to improve his academic skills so that Kurosawa-san wouldn't have to work so hard. He thought the relationship between the two was very good. They are all thinking about each other. However, their enthusiasm for studying is not very high. In the end, the study sessions with him will turn into other things, so there is probably no growth. So Oreki-san got down to business. Hui, I need to entrust you with something. After the Kojima exam, when facing Manabe and the others, Oreki-san said that he hoped Kurosawa would rely on him more and that he would protect her. But the price is that she needs to do things for her. And now is this coming again? Get the group information of girls in Class A and Class B of the 3rd grade. Then, following Akane Tachibana from Class A of the 3rd grade, Oreki-san said. This special test is a special test for the maximum score for 3rd grade students. Class B of the 3rd grade will not sit back and do nothing, but will take direct action. On the boys' side, Horikita Manabu is in charge, so they won't want to move. Oreki Houtarou's Strength First Classroom. Author, Yu Yet. Chapter 388. And there's no need to move. This time the boys' grouping was very conservative for the 3rd grade. The team of Horikita Academy is 13 students from Class A including Horikita Academy, add 1 student from Class C of 3rd grade, add 1 student from Class D of 3rd grade. And Manabu Horikita is the leader of this group. So even Horikita's group won first place. Then the rewards received by Horikita Academy's class are only 3 points, 234 points. But Class B of the 3rd grade teamed up with Nanyun, so there is a high probability that they will get the 2nd place score. So even if you are pulled away, the score won't be very big. Then there is really no need to take action. But it's different here for girls. Because they are separated, there is room for maneuver. Yes. If there is a problem with Akane Tachibana, please contact me immediately, Oreki-san said. Oh. Hui nodded slightly. In fact, I think it's okay if he doesn't explain, because the important thing is not why he did it, but that Houtarou came to her and she wanted to help. Chapter 156 Asahina, it's really interesting. If you can, then you can defeat Nagamo. After arranging for Megami to go to work, Oreki-san did not rest. Hui is very reliable here, but there are still some things she can't find out. For example, here are the 2nd graders. The grades controlled by Nanyun are not so easy to access. As Koitaryu said, not only her, he also speculated that the more upright Nagamo and Horikita Manabu were, the more likely they would be able to pull off various evil tricks in another place. After all, Nagamo is that kind of person. Horikita Manabu and Horikita Suzun are siblings. Although the elder brother is very good, it is obvious that the students in Horikita's class trust him, and Horikita's brother has not suffered enough betrayal. Therefore, it is almost certain that Naeun will choose to start with the girls' group. So some data K can't touch, but others can't? What Oreki had in this exam was the 1st year group card. And what Nanyun has is the 2nd grade card. So I had to find someone familiar with Nagamo to confirm how Nagamo's hand would be played. And this person. Oreki-san was waiting at the entrance of the cafeteria. Soon. A girl with beautiful orange hair and a sunflower-patterned hairpin passed by with her companions. Isn't this Oreki-san? The orange-haired second-year senior said. This is Asahina Heiji from 2nd grade class A. When Oreki-san first entered school and made a bet with Nagamo, he was the female companion Nagamo specially brought out. She is Nagamo's childhood sweetheart. He and Nanyun belong to the 2nd grade class A, and have a high status in the class. Therefore, he is probably one of the important members who can know the various melons of Nagamo. Boys and girls can only interact during lunchtime, so Nagamo's plan was probably implemented by her. Then he is an insider. So how much information can be dug out from her? But Asahina is not just a person now. There are other companions. But Asahina greeted him. I'm waiting for someone. Oreki-san said. Could it be your girlfriend? Asahina-senpai seemed very interested. Oreki-san is quite famous among upperclassmen girls. In addition to being against Nanyun, he is also handsome and rich. Almost everyone knows that he has over 50 million points. He is the first Superman in this school who has assembled an impossible plan worth 20 million. So it is normal for ordinary girls to express interest in his emotional life. I don't have anyone I want to date right now. I think studying hard during school time is the most important thing, Oreki-san said. And I'm just waiting for someone here. Profound. That's it? The senior student seemed a little disappointed. As he spoke, a tall, thin boy with blonde hair walked toward Oreki-san from a short distance away. It's Masayoshi Hashimoto. Oh. I saw the new juniors arriving, but the seniors just left. Hashimoto. If we were to rank handsome boys, Hashimoto-san would be ranked second in Class A. It can also be said that the appearance is not low. Result. The senior students saw him coming and left. It made him doubt his life. It's almost time to resolve the problems in the group tonight, Oreki-san said. Oh, Hashimoto nodded. He understood that this was what Oreki meant by giving him the task. But it's only the 4th day now, and Oreki-san has to deal with the problems in the group, so, should we focus our energy elsewhere? Oreki-san does put his energy elsewhere. For the first time, I was waiting for Asahina at the entrance of the cafeteria. Just to attract Asahina-senpai's attention. This senior is actually quite amazing. In front of others, he is a cute junior to him, but when there is no one around, he is just Oreki Houtarou, which makes his status in 2nd year class A unsafe. So this senior is also very realistic. But there is an exception. He picked up an amulet after hearing her phone call with Nagayunya in school. Then it was not given to her directly, but sent to the 2nd grade social manager. Later, I met the social manager once. The social manager told him about this and hoped that he would leave a message. It was Asahina who wanted to find the person who picked up the amulet and returned it. And her amulet is still a charm for praying for love. That is to say, this senior actually values fate quite a lot. So give it a try. So, Oreki-san continued to wait. Then she finally took the opportunity to go to the toilet alone instead of with a friend. When she came back, Oreki-san seemed to be passing by the corridor. Then meet her. Oreki-san made a moderate sound. What's wrong, Oreki-senpai? Asahina noticed him too. In other words, I feel that today is quite a fate, as we met twice in a row in one day. This amulet of yours. Oreki-san looked a little confused. It looks a bit like what I've seen recently. But it may not be the same one, so don't take it to heart. Asahina seemed stunned for a moment. Is it this style? The school no longer has this style in stock, it is considered out of print, Asahina said. Ah, I'm going to take the liberty to ask, where has senpai lost this amulet recently, Oreki-san said. Asahina blinked. Could it be that the person who helped me pick up the amulet was Oreki-senpai? Asahina suddenly approached Oreki-san. She is a person who believes in fate. This chance encounter, combined with fate, quickly brought the two of them closer together. Thanks Kushida. Oreki-san thought to himself. Thanks to constantly paying attention to the expressions of Kushida's little angel, he also learned to act. And the other side. Here in the cafeteria. Akiu. Kushida sneezed. Are you okay? Kikyo-chan, her best friend Wangmiu, was by her side. Ah, it's okay. Kushida shook his head. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Oreki Houtarou's Strength First Classroom. Author, Yu Yet. Chapter 389. Although the weather has turned cold now. But she really didn't have a cold. So why is this happening? But Kushida said. There is also a 20-kilometer endurance race in the afternoon. Finally, our exam also includes a relay race. Everyone must travel at least 1.2 kilometers, Kushida said. EY-. At this time, the person sitting next door who was in poor physical condition seemed to have been hit hard. This is Sakura Eri. Although the 20-kilometer relay race is set, I can't help you complete the 1.2 kilometers that must be completed, but Sakura-san, I can help you complete your evenly divided share, Kushida said. Kushida and Sakura are in the same group. There are only 12 people in their group. So evenly divided, if one person is guaranteed a minimum of 1.2 kilometers, then there is still 5.6 kilometers left. According to the even distribution, it is simply torture for Sakura, who is poor in exercise. So Kushida is now willing to help her with some of the running. Thank you, Kushida-san. Sakura-san feels that she is lucky today. Got help from the little angel Kushida. Because of the relationship. Oreki-san and Asahina-senpai changed places to talk. After all, it is really inconvenient for people to come and go in the corridor. And as the chat progressed, it quickly became. Actually, I have no intention of interfering with second-year students, Oreki-san said. On the contrary, it is Nagamo-senpai who has been interfering with me. Oh. That's it. The senior sister understood somewhat. But, the senior said. I'm also a second-year student in Class A, so although I get along well with Oreki-senpai, I also have my own stand. So I can't reveal the information. The senior sister seemed to refuse directly. But she's already revealing. Asahina revealed that the girls' team has been arranged. Even if they struggle, there is no chance of a comeback. So the second-year trump card that Nagamo can use is probably, all second-year girls. And against the same grade plus Class B of the third grade. It's true that Alexander makes people feel unable to deal with it. However, this also shows that Nanyun probably hopes that in this exam, the girls in Class A of the third grade will score the worst, while the girls in Class B of the third grade will score the highest. But I don't really agree with Nagamo-senpai's philosophy, Oreki-san said. So it's best to start the class fight again normally. I think the school will recognize you more. So, do you want to defeat Miyabi? Asahina blinked lightly. It's quite interesting, Asahina said. If possible, I would also like to see this scene. He was too proud after our class was promoted to Class A. If we can dampen his spirit, then our class may be more stable. Asahina smiled disapprovingly. Although she also somewhat agrees with Oreki-san's statement. There is a huge gap in the ABCD classes of current first graders. And now there is a huge gap in their second grade class evaluation scores. So even if they don't control points, it's possible for sophomore Class A to maintain an advantage. And this is what worries her. Will the school agree with Ya's plan? It would be better to say that Ya herself has some scruples, so in the past few months, she has been controlling her points and no longer asks for so many points from the school. But in some exams, they can get points in their second grade. Every year, the school gives a grade a time to draw scores. As a result, in order to deal with the school, their class did not get points in that opportunity. This is quite uncomfortable. Oreki-san, on the other hand, remained quiet after the provocation. Although this time the exam is over, it can be completed by extracting 50 million points from the senior students. So there is no need to ask Naeun to withdraw money. However, it is still possible to leave a window for withdrawing money after inciting. After obtaining the information, Oreki-san and Asahina-senpai separated. After all, the lunch break is not that long and everyone has afternoon classes to attend. And that night, Naeun came to play with the ghost cards just like before. It's just that the cards are no longer the same as the first night, but a new one. In other words, it is no longer cheating, but pure entertainment. But he was the only one who didn't come to Oreki-san's dormitory. As for Oreki-san's dormitory, it was Hashimoto who started the task of completing the team's cohesion. The members of Oreki's group are complicated, and as the person in charge, Yukimura Terahiko is not outstanding and has no appeal. So how to solve this situation? At least everyone should be present for the final exam. Therefore, temporary cohesion and mutual cooperation are needed. There are two options for doing this. 1. Be honest with each other. Draw relationships. 2. Have a common enemy and be consistent with the outside world. And Hashimoto's choices. Actually, I'm a pretty bad person. Masayoshi Hashimoto said. When Nanyun was not here, he told everyone about his past, and of course he was ridiculing himself and making fun of himself. However, such an atmosphere was created. Soon, Yukimura also told everyone about his shortcomings, admitting that he was physically rubbish and that he was only good at academics and worked hard. As a thorn in the side, Ishizaki was quickly infected by the atmosphere, and finally expressed his willingness to help in this exam. Group problem solving. This situation continued until the 6th day. Finally, after the morning round-trip endurance run, students who have completed their tasks can go to the cafeteria to eat. And Oreki-san walked towards the entrance of the cafeteria. Because a super cute girl with a beautiful golden single ponytail was standing against the wall. It seems that he is waiting for someone. Oreki-san walked towards there. But the moment he passed by, Oreki-san's palm was facing up, and soon, Megami handed him a small note. This is an exchange of information. After following and paying attention, she finally caught the information about Akane Takabana-senpai from class A of the 3rd grade. And now Takabana-senpai is also alone. Just when he was checking the note and preparing to go to the location on the note, Oreki-san looked over. Because there was an episode in the cafeteria. There were several men and women gathered together, and there seemed to be some commotion. Take a closer look. Yamauchi stretched out his hand to the girl who fell on the ground with an apologetic expression. The girl waved her hand, indicating that she was fine. She didn't hold Yamauchi's hand. Instead, he was stubbornly prepared to choose to stand up on his own. He seemed to be preparing to pick up the cane that fell on the ground, and then stood up slowly while holding onto the wall. I found myself being rejected, and I also felt that I was being watched. Yamauchi seemed embarrassed. Embarrassed, he retracted his hanging hand and prepared to turn around and leave, but he didn't forget to comment before leaving. Although Sakayanagi-chan is quite cute, she's just a little clumsy. Sakayanagi Yuzu ignored his comments and prepared to stand up by holding onto the wall. However, no matter how unhappy I feel, it is still a fact that my body is weak. She stubbornly prepared to stand up while holding onto the wall. As a result, a pair of hands appeared in front of her. He almost picked her up without waiting for her to choose or refuse. Sakayanagi-san was a little stunned by being suddenly vacated. Then he quickly found the person hugging him. Oreki-san. Chapter 157 Senior Ju Akane, why are you crying here? Sakayanagi Yuzu soon discovered that the person who picked her up was Oreki Houtarou. After Oreki-san hugged her, he looked around and sent her to the seat at the nearest dining table. So, are you feeling uncomfortable somewhere? He knelt down and looked at her legs, but placed his left hand on her small hand. Hold her right hand. It's probably no big problem, Luer said. Even though Sakayanagi said this, her body's frailty also warranted concern. I said in class before that there are very few opportunities to see the sea. It was her parents who were worried about her health. Oreki Houtarou's Strength First Classroom. Author, Yu Yet. Chapter 390. The only time I went out was because I went to pick up a hat and suffered a heat stroke. Now, she can take the exam alone, although she has abstained from various courses, such as endurance long-distance running. But she really needs to worry about her body. Use resilience. Yes. Oreki-san made his choice immediately. Because he was still holding her hand, the conditions for using the ability were met. Only. Classmate Banliu tilted his head slightly. Probably because I didn't notice any special changes. In other words, the superpower is ineffective? No. There is another situation. That means no injuries. Isn't Kamuro with you? Oreki-san said. She's not here yet. In the girls' group, Kamuro-san was assigned to the winning seed group of Ichino's class. This is also the reason why, although the girls in Class B are quite cute, their abilities are not that strong in some areas. Therefore, support from outstanding students from other classes is also needed. For example, the seed group for the girls in Ichino's class is 12 girls from Class B, and then Kamuro-san, Ibuki-san, and Horikita-san are also divided. Because of this, different groups have different courses, so the classes end at different times. After Sakayanaga's group class ended, he came to the cafeteria first. Next time it's better to make an appointment with Kamuro to meet at a place outside, Oreki-san said. There is not much time for lunch break, and there are many people in the cafeteria, so it is easier for someone to bump into you. Why do you think I was the one who was hit? Luer blinked lightly. Because of physical discomfort, you will pay more attention to the surrounding environment, because if you are injured, it will be cruel. You are not the reckless and careless type. So it's probably because Yamauchi didn't see anyone bumping into you, Oreki-san said. Sakayanagi. Sakayanagi felt that Oreki-san looked like his father at this moment. A little too much attention on her. But my body - she seemed to be a little depressed. It's natural to feel unwell, Oreki-san said. After graduating from high school, I may choose to study clinical medicine. There is always a way to deal with the current situation. Oh. Is this a love story? This is the first time Oreki-san directly reveals his feelings. Sakayanagi-san felt that the shame of being seen in such a disgraceful manner by him today seemed to have disappeared. Filled with a warm emotion. Sakayanagi At this time, a tall girl with long purple hair had already walked over. The other person was wearing red sportswear. But the bangs are very long, and there are 3 hairpins in them. And this is Kamuro-san, who has finally finished class. What happened just now? Kamuro noticed Oreki-san's condition and squatted down, seemingly checking Sakayanagi for something. Nothing, Oreki said. Then Sakayanagi will leave it to you. Although Kamuro was puzzled, Oreki had already stood up. So he took over Banliu like a baton and led the other party to the old position. This is Class A. Whether it's at school or in this new place, there's always a loyal dog who's got a good spot. After watching Kamuro-san take away Itanyanagi, Oreki-san stood up. Studying medicine in college just now must be fake. Sakayanagi was born with congenital heart disease. In terms of medicine, apart from organ replacement or surgery, there is probably no way to cure Sakayanagi. And such a method is too cruel, and the risk factor is also very high. So, you still have to rely on superpowers. So when will a more effective healing-related superpower be released? Oreki-san thought to himself. However, after staying in place for a minute, no new tasks were triggered. He turned to business. I just received information from Kei at the entrance of the cafeteria. He asked her to follow Senior Akane Tachibana from class A of the 3rd grade, and finally got feedback. The note said that Tachibana came to the cafeteria very late during her lunch break yesterday. Today, she followed her and found that Senior Akane Tachibana was hiding alone in the shoe cabinet. Seems to be crying. And went to the shoe cabinet. Oreki-san soon discovered that there was indeed a student crying in the corner with his limbs curled up. The other party didn't notice him, but Oreki could see her holding back her voice and crying. Because it was rare to see a girl cry, for a moment he had an idea of what to do. But Akane Takabana-senpai doesn't have such a deep relationship with him. So probably just handle it normally. If you have troubles, you should talk to Horikita NII. Isn't talking to the student council president a solution? Oreki-san then walked directly towards the other party. Boom. Probably hearing the footsteps, the crouched girl raised her face in fright, but this action allowed people to see her face clearly. A purple bun, and a pitiful face. She is Akane Tachibana from class A of the 3rd year. She was panicking about being seen looking useless, so she immediately wiped away her tears. What do you mean? She seemed to want to hide what had happened just now, where she was holding her hands and crying alone in embarrassment. Just like you did just now, if you encounter troubles, just go and talk to the student council president. You are his classmate and his reliable right-hand man. He will not ignore you, Oreki said. I'm not worried at all, but Tachibana Akane quickly spoke up. If you're crying when you're not worried, then I feel worried too, Oreki said. I'm not crying, Tachibana denied with all her strength, and then looked away. Her body didn't move, probably because she knew that as long as she left the darkest place where she was now, her crying would turn red. The eyes must be very obvious and her lies exposed. I also have times when I want to be alone. And in this school, there will also be times when you need to release your inner feelings. After all, she is a 3rd-year senior, so she tried to lie superficially. Especially as this junior is about to graduate, so it's a lot of pressure. Indeed, Oreki nodded. We really don't have much private space. Then move towards Tachibana Akane. What are you doing here? But this move seemed to make her very excited. Don't come over here. Don't you want to come over? Was she worried that he would see her crying and report it to Chairman Horikita? Oreki felt that Tachibana Akane-senpai might not be vigilant enough. Because he had actually seen it a long time ago. In other words, he confirmed that she cried for several minutes and waited for a while before talking to her. Actually, I have always been on President Horikita's side. Oreki listened carefully to the sounds around him and then said. Of course, this is a lie. Because Oreki-san still wants to take away the 50 million from Horikita-san's brother, class A of the 3rd grade. But saying this first can increase the trust of Horikita NII's fan, Tachibana Akane. It's just that Jujian didn't respond to him. As the secretary of the student union, Akane Tachibana knew that Oreki and Nagamo were fighting each other, and then she tricked Nagamo several times. And she tried to invite him to the student union. Got rejected. However, the president spoke highly of him. At the same time, some time ago, during the rumor about the president's sister, the president said that his sister would be handed over to Oreki-senpai. In other words, the relationship between Oreki-senpai and the president is actually very close. Someone who has been approved by the president. Then it is worthy of belief. But Tachibana Akane won't appreciate it. Speaking of which, I am a third-year senior, and you are a first-year junior. Can you please not omit the honorifics to the senior? Until now, it is because the president is here, so I have not spoken harshly. You very disrespectful to the seniors. Is that so? Is such that?